Yo, what's good everybody? It's the one who never takes a loss, Ice Cool Boss, your source for the Toronto Raptors. Welcome to the 6th installment in the Raptors series post Kawhi, a series in which I follow the Raptors' road to a new championship. After the greatest season in Raptors history, it's time to give some appreciation to the best coach in Raptors history. In his first season as a head coach of an NBA team, Nick Nurse won a chip with some extra dip. Now Nick Nurse has gained so much clout that he has been asked to be the head coach of Team Canada basketball. Nick Nurse's meteoric rise grew exponentially in the 2018 off-season. The 2018 off-season was when Masai made a series of major moves. Masai made the bold move of firing Coach of the Year, Dwayne Casey, and trading franchise player DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard. At the time, many people were shocked at the moves, but if you were reading between the lines, you could see Masai was setting the stage for a special season. The head coach position was vacant and needed to be filled, and Masai could think of no one better than former assistant coach Nick Nurse, the man who is credited with completely changing the Raptors offense in the prior season. Nick Nurse's rise to the head coaching job for the Toronto Raptors was by no means swift. From day one, Nurse had to grind for everything he has now. Nick Nurse is not new to competition either, as he is the youngest of 9. Nurse was born in the small town of Carrol, Iowa, with a population of under 10,000 people. His mom, Marcella, was a teacher. Nick Nurse's dad, Maury, who passed away in 2015, worked for the U.S. Postal Service and was heavily involved in the local sports scene. This led to Nick Nurse becoming fascinated in all sports at an early age. Nurse's brother, Steve, is quoted as saying, "Nurse wasn't gifted with otherworldly athleticism, but he was a natural at most sports he tried. He could throw a ball with almost perfect mechanics from the moment he could walk." By his senior year at Kemper Catholic High School, Nurse was a state qualifier in pole vault. He was also the quarterback of the football team and a starting pitcher on the baseball team. And there's more. He was also the starting point guard for the Kemper Knights basketball team that won the 1985 state championship. Iowa's largest export used to be soybeans. Now the biggest export is Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse's story is one of persistence, discovery, and hard work. Nick Nurse played basketball at the University of Northern Iowa from 1985 to 1989, appearing in 111 games. To this day, Nick Nurse is the school's all-time three-point percentage leader at 47%. Nick also holds a streak of 27 consecutive games with at least one three-pointer made in each game, and that is still a Panthers record to this day. In Nurse's last year with Northern Iowa, Nurse became an assistant coach for the team during 1989 to 1990. And this was the genesis of Nick Nurse's coaching career. After graduating from Northern Iowa in May of 1990 with a BA in accounting, Nurse was quoted as saying, "I was getting a degree in accounting and I was going to go off and account, and as it worked out, I haven't accounted for anything since. One thing's for sure, he's definitely accounting for a lot more money now." Nurse got his first full-time head coaching job at Grandview University in Des Moines, Iowa at the age of 23. At the time, Nurse was the youngest head coach for a college basketball team in the country. In his 30-year career, Nurse has coached 15 teams in 5 different countries. Nurse coached for a year in both Italy and Belgium, and spent the majority of his time in Britain and the States, until he joined the Raptors organization. During his tenure in Britain, he won 2 British Basketball League championships. Nick Nurse also won the BBL Coach of the Year award in the 1999, 2000, and 2003 and 04 seasons respectively. After all of these successful years of coaching abroad, Nick Nurse had built up an impressive resume, and he decided that it was time to return to the States to further pursue his dream to be a head coach in the NBA. Nick Nurse returned to his hometown of Iowa, and as he was driving by the newly built Wells Fargo Arena, an idea popped into his head. Nurse knew the only permanent resident of the arena was a minor league hockey team. This was the opportunity to bring a new team to Iowa. Nurse would be the one to develop a brand new G League team in Iowa. Nurse made several phone calls to the league about the proposition, and everyone thought it was an excellent idea. A year later, Nurse would be named the head coach of the newly minted Iowa Energy in its inaugural season. However, life wasn't as lavish as you would think. Back in the day, the G League was called the NBA Development League, or the D League for short. The Little Brother League definitely needed some development as well. Nurse was coaching the G League team and only received $40 a day. On top of that, he had to drive his players to and from practices, and he would have to fight with the local girls' high school volleyball team for gym time. In addition, Nurse had to do all of the team's laundry and served as a custodian in ensuring that the gym was well maintained. Forget about your own private plane. You would be flying an economy with multiple flight delays, if you were lucky enough to even get a flight instead of having to take the bus. In 6 seasons as a head coach in the G League, Nick Nurse accumulated a record of 183 wins and 117 losses, including a pair of championships with the Rio Grande Valley Vipers and the Iowa Energy. To this day, Nick Nurse is the only coach in G League history to win multiple championships across 2 separate franchises. Nurse excelled at coaching in the G League, and he also won the Coach of the Year during his time with the Rio Grande Valley Vipers. Nurse continued his drive to the ultimate goal of a head coach of an NBA team, and ultimately this would lead him to becoming the assistant coach for the Toronto Raptors for the past 5 seasons. Until finally, one day in the summer of 2018, after the Raptors had gotten swept by LeBron James for the 2nd year in a row, Masai Ujiri made the moves that would launch the Raptors to a championship. It wasn't an easy road either. It was a road characterized by uncertainty, doubt, and challenges. But through it all, one thing remained constant. Nick Nurse never took his eye off the prize. There were many ups and downs throughout the last NBA season, and unfortunately, one night in December, his mother passed away. The memory of his mother's unwavering love and support was the catalyst that propelled Nurse forwards. Nick Nurse coached the Raptors to a landslide 123-99 victory over the LA Clippers the night after his mother passed away. And the game after that, the Warriors got smacked down 113-99. This momentum would lead him to the NBA Finals and to an NBA championship. It's funny how Nick Nurse took Dwayne Casey's job, the former Coach of the Year, and beat this year's Coach of the Year, Mike Budenholzer of the Bucks, en route to a championship. Comment down below if you think the NBA awards should include the postseason as well. Nick Nurse is the only coach to have coached in the NCAA, the G League, overseas, and in the NBA. After a long 100-game season, you would think Nurse would be taking his time and taking it easy. And you can bet he was. Nick Nurse is diving right into the head coaching job of Team Canada. This will further his coaching experience even more so he can become a better coach than he already is. Nick Nurse comes across as a very likable guy who works tirelessly to ensure that his team is comfortable, prepared, and all working together to achieve the same goal. Nick Nurse's coaching skills are no doubt world class, and this is due to his plethora of coaching experience all around the world. Raptors fans, Nick Nurse is here to stay, and hopefully the Larry O'Brien Trophy is too. That's it for today's video. Take it easy, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon to be notified when I provide new NBA content. See ya!